something he didn't push as hard as he could have on his own behalf. And, hey, maybe he doesn't want to make excuses. But it was clear last year that the shoulder injury that he suffered when he decided to make a tackle after throwing an interception week 2 against the Texans affected him all year long. How badly did it affect him? Let's hear directly from Baker Mayfield.
I tore my labrum completely, like full front, like basically 90% in the back. And then that was week 2. I did that in the first half. Played the rest of the game, was fine. But then 4 weeks later, we were playing the Cardinals, and I dislocated my shoulder again. But I dislocated it so bad and at a different angle that the bone, like the humerus that goes up into your shoulder socket, like the big bone right here, comes up into your ball and socket, and it forced its way out, and I fractured the bone because it wasn't going to be like just a clean exit.
Right.
So I fractured the bone. So when I had the labrum done and that fracture, the inflammation, everything, I had no function in my left shoulder. And we were going into a Thursday game that week. Monday I couldn't lift my arm, but I literally when I couldn't raise my arm, I was like, I can't do this.
Fascinating revelation by Baker Mayfield for a couple of reasons. First of all, he acted like he was fine.
Yeah.
He wasn't giving up. He has that Brett Favre, I'm not giving up my spot and letting someone else take my spot. Yep. I'm playing no matter what. And he's talking about the days preceding a Thursday night game that they had against the Denver Broncos where Case Keenum played, and that was the Dearness Johnson game, had the big performance in the absence of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Baker Mayfield admits that on Monday he knew he couldn't do it. On Tuesday of that week, he said, I'm the one who decides if I can play.
Right.
I'm the one who, it's me. He already knows he can't do it. It just shows you that there's a very high degree of turf protection that goes on in that sport, and for good reason. Because if Case Keenum comes in and lights it up, maybe they keep going with Case Keenum.
Yeah.
Maybe some fans say they should have kept going with Case Keenum last year. So you never want to give up your spot in that job, in that place. And the shoulder was a lot worse than we were led to believe. And he could say that was why I wasn't very good last year. And you know what? If you're a team that's interested in Baker Mayfield, you can say, hey, good year in 2018, bad year when Freddie Kitchens was the head coach. No surprise there. Great year in 2020. Last year, the only problem was he did something stupid in week 2 because he was pissed off that he threw an interception. He let his emotions take over. And again, how do you iron that out of him? I don't know. There's the one against the Cardinals that really did the shoulder.
Man.
And I still think glass is half full. If you can just polish some of the rough spots and speak to his better angels.
I agree.
And put the right people around him and have a coach who knows how to get through to him, to take his self-awareness, but also his flaws, and package it together and coach him the right way. That's what coaches do. If you can figure out the right way to coach Baker Mayfield to be the best version of himself, he can still be a pretty damn good quarterback.
Yeah, I'm with you in that, Mike. I really am. I think he's got a lot of things that you like as far as being your franchise guy. He does have the physical talent. His arm is real. It is. You talked about the toughness, the moxie, the leadership. There is something to that. Again, he didn't get the reputation of being such a great locker room guy and an awesome guy for nothing. There is something there to that. Hopefully with age here, he matures a little bit and all that as well. The injuries were certainly a factor in his play, 100%. There's no doubt about that. How could it not be? And, even again, like injuries like that, they affect a lot to where even the mental aspect, or you might go, whoa, man, I don't know why, again, I know his arms hurt, but why would he throw the ball there? Well, the injuries play into that factor too at times. Oh, the pocket's collapsed. I don't want to take this hit. Let me get it there. This throw might have been there, but it hurts my arm. I'm going to go to the next guy because I feel a little better throwing the ball to that guy on that route. Oh, it wasn't the best decision. So that's where it affects you too. And yeah, that's where teams are going to have to do some deep digging and really feel comfortable with Baker Mayfield and the situation there. And, we've hit some teams that I think can do what you're talking about.
Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin. Look, we didn't know how big of a problem Antonio Brown was for most of a decade. And he was a problem for Mike Tomlin. He was a problem for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A separate set of rules applied to Antonio Brown, but he was a great player. Mike Tomlin found a way to make it work. He found a way to minimize the resentment of Antonio Brown. You know the stories about they'd go to training camp, St. Vincent's College in Latrobe, sleeping in dorm rooms. Antonio Brown has his own house
place,
rents off campus. Right. Different rules apply. Blows into the locker room as everyone's dressed and ready for the game. But hey, it's Antonio Brown. He's great. We'll make it work. And I said this about Ben Roethlisberger. The transformation of Roethlisberger happened on the watch of Mike Tomlin. When Bill Cowher was the coach the first 3 years of Ben Roethlisberger's career, he was a tremendous pain in the ass for teammates and coaches. One of the first controversies involving Ben Roethlisberger was his claim after the 2004 AFC Championship game that he played the game with 3 broken toes. And Bill Cowher said publicly he didn't have any broken toes. What the hell is he talking about?
Right.
That's when the legend of Ben, the injury embellisher, began. Tomlin got him under control. I think if I'm the Browns, I am scared to death that this is going to end up with Baker Mayfield going to Pittsburgh and being better there than he ever was with the Browns and beating the Browns far more often than not just in 2022, but beyond. Just as the Steelers are looking for a quarterback to build around, they get a guy who just turned 27, who could be there for 10 years and continue to be a thorn in the side of the Browns in a very different way. That's the outcome I think the Browns are trying their damnedest to avoid, Chris.
Well, I would scare them, I'm sure. It would. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully we'll know. The next month is going to tell us. The next 3 weeks are going to tell us. I think between the draft and things like that, that's where we're going to be at least led down a little bit of a direction here of where it could possibly end. But I think the options are limited, and I think we kind of hit on the 2 teams, 3-ish maybe that makes sense. But I don't think there's anything else out there other than that.
Seattle, Pittsburgh, Detroit. Seattle, Pittsburgh, Detroit. Even though Detroit has said or done nothing to reflect any interest whatsoever, it is obvious to me that Baker Mayfield is the personification of the attitude that Dan Campbell and Chris Spielman are currently trying to put into that organization. And he is 1,000 times more apt to be that guy than Jared Goff. Sorry, it's true.
Agreed.
So the Lions should be interested, and Buddy Boy should be chopping his gum and pounding on the table to get Baker Mayfield to Detroit.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.